Hey everybody, PC Outcast here, back with more Everlasting Summer, and we are trying to get through Alisa's good route. So we are on day 4, I believe, and making our way through the catacombs. They're the bomb shelter catacomb thingamadude. Alisa clenched my arm, walking close in step with me. We headed back slowly, carefully looking for a hole in the ceiling. The tunnel seemed endless. We couldn't find the place where we fell down, not after 5 or even 10 minutes. Are we lost? Alisa asked sadly. Might be possible to get lost in the forest. It just came to me that that's exactly what we'd accomplished half an hour ago, so to refrain from scaring her even further, I continued with confidence. But this is a single straight tunnel. You can't get lost here. So where are we going to end up then? My words didn't seem to calm Alisa down enough. We'll get out of here. There's always an exit. Really? Of course there is. The workers had built it somehow got back up to the surface, didn't they? Yeah, I guess. It appeared that she was trying hard to look as bold as usual, but it wasn't turning out well. In the dim light, it was evident that Alisa was shivering. A look of extreme exertion was plastered on her face. Fine, let's move forward. In a few minutes, I noticed a hole in the floor. It looked like a shell crater, large enough to get ourselves through. What's down there? Hell if I know. I kneeled and pointed the light downwards. Damp ground, some kind of rail tracks. Must be a mine. Yeah. Alisa looked at me questioningly. Of course, we could easily sidestep the hole, but my instincts insisted that we wouldn't encounter anything good proceeding down the tunnel either. There'd be either a dead end or yet another jammed door. On the other hand, it was naive to believe that we could find an exit in the mines. We could give it a try. In the worst case, we'll just come back. It's low enough to let us climb back up later. Her face took on a suffering expression. Then Alisa turned away from the light and quietly said, "If you say so." As I thought, we were in a mine. Miles of rust-eaten tracks stretched far away down the corridors. I could virtually see the overloaded minecarts. Minecarts creaking along the tracks ages ago. The walls were propped up by rotten beams, and water occasionally dripped from the ceiling. Wasn't sure whether it was scarier here or in the catacombs or the bomb shelter above. I'd say that up there it was like a post-apocalyptic setting, and down here, occult medievalism reigned. In any case, I was even more eager to get out of here and do so as soon as possible. What's a cult about a mine? Alisa didn't utter a word after we descended into the mine. She just walked next to me, clenching my hand so hard I started to worry. Are you alright? No. She said quietly. I understand that it can't be okay, but how are you holding up? Fine. She replied with that indifferent voice. That's good, because I really wanted to say because if you go nuts too, it's going to be a massacre. Because we will find an exit. We'll definitely find one. Yeah. It seemed she wouldn't last much longer. We should go faster. I quickened my steps and we reached a fork after a couple of dozen meters. Well. So which way? Alisa seemed to have completely disconnected from the outer world and didn't worry about what would happen to us or how we could leave this place. Well, let's think. To the left or to the right? What if we get lost? I decided to put a mark on the wall in case we get lost and return to the spot again. Soon a large cross scratched from a stone decorated one of the beams. So now we're ready to go. Of course we are. And nothing special about going left. Forever following the curve, I saw a wooden door in the torchlight. There you go, there's something. You think so? Alisa looked a little refreshed. Sure. Frankly speaking, I really wasn't sure that there would be an exit behind this door. But it wasn't like we had any choice, anyway. I pulled the handle. We found ourselves in some kind of room that resembled either a boiler room or a utility room under the bomb shelter. Empty bottles, cigarette butts, and other bits of debris littered the floor. That proves that there is an exit from these caves. I scanned the room with the flashlight, and in the furthest corner I saw Sharik, doubled up and trembling all over. Sharik! Who's that? He stammered. Sharik, we've been looking for you all night, and you're just sitting here? Get up! I'm not going anywhere. He started quietly, but with every word his voice gained strength until he was shouting at the top of his lungs. No! I won't go with you anywhere! You don't exist! You aren't here anyway, it's a hallucination. It's unscientific. Yeah, unscientific. What do you mean by you aren't here? Here we are, we came searching for you. Alisa had remained silent until now, but then she let go of my hand and took a few steps towards Sharik. What are you doing? I asked quietly. She hesitated for a moment, but proceeded as if not hearing me. Finally, having come close to the lost pioneer, Alisa fetched him with a scathing slap across the face. You! We nearly died while searching for you. Those damned woods at night, that bomb shelter, these freaking mines. I'm one mess of massive bruises thanks to you. And you what? You're just hanging out, drinking booze, and seeing pink spiders, you bastard. Sharik stared at her with a bemused look. Now then, get your ass up and move. No. He began to whisper quietly. No. Somewhere deep inside me, on the very edge of my awareness, I got a feeling that something really bad was going to happen now. It happened. A premonition, intuition, or just an analysis of the situation from the way Sharik was sitting or the expression on his face hinted at his following actions. Probably all of that together, I rushed to Alisa, the light furiously jumping all over the room and highlighting Sharik's face for a second, twisted with madness. He was wielding a metal rod, and if I had been a moment too late, he would definitely have smashed in Alisa's head with it. But I made it. Everything was like a dream. The distant shout of a girl, a loud thud, the flashlight going out in the eerie silence, except for the heavy breathing of Sharik. It took me a while to come to my senses. What are you doing, you jerk? I checked my arm and it felt okay. The blow landed on the flashlight. So now we were in complete darkness. You won't get it! Won't get me! Sharik's hysterical laughter was quickly fading away in the distance. Hey, where are you going? Get back here now! Won't get... The yell vanished into the distance. What a freak. I've tried to fix the flashlight in the darkness. No way Sharik has smashed it into pieces with his rod. Then I suddenly thought of Alisa. Are you okay? I heard a quiet sob, and at the same instant I felt her embrace hugging me tightly. Okay, it's okay. It's all over now. Everything's fine. Well, in fact, nothing was fine, but I needed her to get a grip on herself. Otherwise, we stood no chance of getting out of here alive. I tenderly caressed her head. I wonder, Alisa crying? Is that a funny thing? Maybe in different circumstances. I'm scared. That's okay, I'm scared too. I noticed this strong and sudden transformation in Alisa. But what the heck? Anyone would be scared in these circumstances. Moreover, she's a girl. But why aren't I scared? No, not scared. Why am I still able to keep my mind clear and speak sense? Might it be because I have to worry about more than just myself? Okay, come on. We have to get out of here anyway. Hold on, just a sec. Said Alisa quietly, and the room became illuminated by the dim flicker of a lighter's flame. Where'd you get that from? That's the statue. She forced a gentle smile and handed me the lighter. Alright. I quickly swept my eyes over the room, searching for something that could be used as a torch. There were some tattered rags and a rod among the debris on the floor. One of the bottles contained some liquid that smelled like industrial alcohol. Oh yeah, let's just light up a Molotov cocktail. What could go wrong? For better or worse, in a minute I was holding something that resembled a flaming torch in my hands. I don't know how long it'll last, so we gotta move quickly. Where to? Alisa seemed to be returning to her senses. Let's go back. At least we'll reach the bomb shelter. For one thing, there's light there. She gave me a quiet nod and took my hand. The torch was burning poorly. We had to reignite it every other minute. One didn't have to be an oracle to predict an extremely short lifespan for that rag we were using. I became more and more afraid that we wouldn't leave the darkness in the mine. You couldn't rely too much on just the lighter. However, we reached the hole that led up to the catacombs quite fast. It seemed that I memorized the route after all. We struggled to get up, scrambling over the rocks almost blindly. Okay, where are we going now? Asked Alisa, getting her breath back. What do you mean? We're going to the room with the bunks and cabinets. Which way is that? I opened my mouth to reply, but suddenly realized that I had not the slightest idea. The hole looked the same from all sides, just like the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. We had not a single hint to indicate the right direction. Well, don't you know? Alisa asked sadly and sat on the ground. No. I replied quietly, but put out the torch to preserve it and sat next to her. Are we gonna die here? She rested her head on my shoulder. Alisa's voice sounded flat, one might even say calm, but I could feel that her body was trembling, either with cold or with fear, or with both. Don't be silly. Sure, things are getting worse, but they're still pretty far from we're gonna die. They will come and rescue us in the morning. Olga will call the police, so... I'd love to believe that myself. I see. Yeah. I lost track of the time sitting there. I was afraid to go forward or backward. I was afraid to make a choice, as our torch definitely wouldn't last both ways. Wandering in total darkness without any source of light was definitely worse than waiting for rescue here. This way, at least, we would have some light left for an emergency. Suddenly, a rumbling started echoing in the distance. Well, here's that emergency. That was definitely the clank of door bolts mixed in that rumbling. Get up. I harshly pulled Alisa to her feet and lit the torch with shaking hands. What is it? She asked in dismay. I don't know, but it seems there is someone. We have to run. To be honest, I wasn't sure that it was such a good idea. What if the mad Sharik is there? And in fact, that's the least of all the evils I can imagine. But we had no choice left. The stones scattered beneath her feet. I desperately tried not to fall down, holding my hand with the torch out in front and dragging Alisa with the other. She ran along in silence, breathing heavily. I really wanted to look back at her, but didn't have the strength or the time. Finally, the outline of the open door appeared before us, and I leaped into the bomb shelter, readying myself to fight any foe that was there. But the room was empty. I swept my eyes across the room, trying hard to spot hidden monsters, Sharik, or any other evil entity, but it was all exactly the same as it was the first time we'd been there. Except for the door, the second door. It was open. Somebody's passed through here. I spoke up triumphantly. Who? Dunno, maybe it was Sharik. But how did he manage to open it? Who the hell cares? Come on. There's another corridor behind the door, and it was ascending slowly. So we're getting closer to the surface. I was right. After several hundred feet, I stumbled upon a ladder leading up to a small hatch in the ceiling. Didn't take much effort to open it. What's up there? Who cares? It's better than staying down here anyway. I climbed the ladder and found myself surrounded by gloom. However, this gloom was definitely lighter than the darkness of the catacombs, as my eyes got more used to it. The outlines of the walls, the ladder, and the door leading to the outside were emerging in the pale moonlight. I helped Alisa to climb up, and we literally sprang out of the building. The exit from the catacombs was located in some sort of ruined building that resembled either a nursery or a country school. Must be the old camp? Alisa sat on one of the swings and wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. I see. So we found it after all. I smiled involuntarily. What are you laughing at? She frowned and pouted with displeasure. To put it shortly, she'd returned to her usual self. So it's not so scary here anymore? I wasn't scared there either. Oh, come on. That's right, I wasn't. Whatever. I was angry. I really felt hurt because of Alisa. If not for me, she would have still been down there in that damn mine. Where are you going? She asked in a less self-assured voice as I turned around and walked slowly towards the camp. Back to the camp. Hey! Alisa jumped up right away and started to walk next to me. For a moment, I wanted to say something nasty, but I wasn't ready to start the next argument. We found the path we had taken before surprisingly fast, even the 2 holes we'd fallen into. It was only about 200 meters from the old camp. I stopped at the square and turned to Alisa. Well, she looked uncertain, even confused. Then, sure. Deep inside, I wanted to yell at her, to scold her, even to insult her. On the other hand, I wanted to have a meaningful conversation. In the end, I just kept silent, turned around and slowly headed towards the leader's cabin. But something persistently disturbed the quiet of the night. I keenly listened to it and realized that it was the snoring of Sharik, who was sleeping peacefully on a bench. Hey! I called Alisa, who hadn't walked too far away. Get up, you! Sharik slowly came to his senses and stared at us blankly. Oh, is it morning already? Morning? Yeah, sure. Sometimes one acts first and thinks later. Of course, it all starts in the brain, then the current comes through the neural links, thereby transmitting the command to the body. But sometimes the subconsciousness just works faster than the consciousness. That's exactly when my fist swung and smacked Sharik in the guts, and it was only then that I realized what I'd done. He coughed, trying to catch his breath, and writhed in pain on the bench. What the hell was that all about? I already felt bad about it. I shouldn't have treated him so rough. What are you talking about? Sharik looked at me in shock. In the mine. What mine? He turned his head, completely confused. Why am I here? Why are you here? Stop fooling around. Alisa barged into the conversation. You nearly killed me there, and now you're going to pretend like nothing happened? What happened? You really don't remember? Not a thing. Okay, so what is the last thing you do remember? Sharik tried to concentrate. Well, I was on my way to the old camp in the morning. I knew I could find some hardware for the robot there, so, and that's all. I don't remember anything since then. I just woke up here. I let out a heavy sigh as I turned away. Well, go ahead. Sweet dreams. Hey, where are you? I ignored Alisa and stumbled away to Olga's cabin. She stayed, arguing with Sharik. I sat in the deck chair and looked up at the stars. This night they seemed to be brighter than usual. Perhaps they seemed so because not too long ago my only source of light was a dim flashlight and then a torch. The stars are brighter than a flashlight and obviously a torch. Most of the stars, I guess, are even brighter than the sun, but they're so far away. Why have you come? I asked without even turning my head. Alisa's footsteps could be heard well in advance in the silence of the night. Well, what did Sharik say? He said that he doesn't remember anything, that it's unscientific and nonsense like that. I think he really doesn't remember because of shock and stress. Who am I to say? I was in the same boat not too long ago. I'm still in it, though. Do I have amnesia? Well then, why did you come here? Then again, I guess I knew the answer. It's exactly why I hadn't gone to sleep but waited for her here. Well, Alisa sat down next to me. Kind of wanted to thank you. After all, down there, you know. No problem, I said gently and leaned back. Well, alright then. She got up and was going to go. If you think I'm angry with you, I'm not. Everything is okay. I didn't actually think that. Alisa got worked up. Fine then. Okay. Yeah. Then, just go already. I said kindly and waved my hand. I'll go when I want to. So now you don't want to? I want to. Well, is something preventing you from going? Moron. Alisa stamped her foot and quickly walked away from the leader's cabin. I took a deep breath and stood up. My head was terribly dizzy from fatigue. Well, at least Olga is sleeping already and I won't have to explain anything. However, it wasn't that easy. The camp leader was standing in the middle of the room and was obviously preparing for a lengthy conversation. Or rather, for a debriefing. Would you care to explain? What's the matter? In fact, you didn't mind when we were going to search for Sharik. And what, have you found him? Looks like she was more concerned about me coming back late than the fate of the lost pioneer. Yes, we have. By the way, why are you standing here in darkness? What? I said, why in the darkness? Because it's time to sleep. I couldn't agree with her more, although I was slightly surprised by such an abrupt mood swing. I just barely stumbled to my bed and collapsed on it without undressing. But still, Alisa. I just didn't know what I should think of her. It was because she'd been acting strange recently. No, on the contrary, all of her behavior was quite consistent and understandable. Even her returning to thank me. Thought of Alisa much more than anything else that had happened tonight. Although if you get down to it, there's nothing supernatural about it. Uncomfortable, sure. Frightening, even spine-chilling, sure. Something related to my arrival here? Hardly. These thoughts put me to sleep. Bizarre. Totally bizarro. Okay, guess we'll go there. And I will, refuse. I don't think it really matters who I go with. Tried my best. Library, maybe? Hey, Alisa. Okay, so we are not going to try to snatch the thing from her. Just stay on guard. Curiosity killed the cat. Anyway, it's Alisa, and that means that it could quickly turn into a total mess. Plus, I still have ingredients to collect. Well, I'll come later. Alisa left the library, quickly without looking at me. Got me thinking. What could this book be about if she was so ashamed of it? An ashamed Alisa is something extraordinary by itself, but Alisa ashamed about a book? But what's the point in guessing now? There's no way to find anything out. Finally, Xenia's deep groan rang out, reaching each and every corner of the library. Grab it! I passed by the thing and blah 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 blah. Okay, so we're just going to all the places and doing all the things. Okay, so we're coming up on the thing. We want to go to Alisa and Lena. Yeah. Only Lena and Alisa stood out among all this splendor. Well, of course, it was quite natural for Alisa to be arguing with someone like that. But hearing Lena talk in a raised voice, I came closer silently, trying to understand what was going on. No, you listen to me. Think whatever you want. I've said everything. Look serious. I tried as hard as I could to not attract any attention and look like I was just standing there with no intention of listening in on them. There's nothing to think about. Everything is clear as day. Don't try to wind me around your little finger like that. I know you too well. Why, of course, you know everything. Then why won't you tell him yourself? Lena was getting angry. That alone was really weird, even considering that I didn't know what they were arguing about. It's none of your business. Alisa snorted, turned around, and her eyes met mine. A second later, Lena gave me a look as well. The girl stood there in confusion for some time. You're eavesdropping? Me? Oh, no. I was just, passing by. Put on the best smile I had, but it didn't seem to help much. By the way, today he was peeping at me. Alisa gave him a malicious smile. Lena looked at me questioningly. First of all, why would she believe this devious fox's stories? I didn't peep. You know quite well that it was an accident. Yolanda should be the one to blame. Sure it was. Tell that to the cops. Seemed like my excuse was not working. Did you like my boobs? A shiver ran up my spine. Is that true? Lena looked at me imploringly. Well, you see, it was an accident. I didn't see anything there. You didn't? Well, I can show you again. Alisa cried in anger. I didn't know what to say. Should have said her boobs were great. You see, I told you. No. Lena started to mumble and rushed away a moment later. Wait, what happened? I shouted after her. See what you did? That girl's upset now. She gave a spiteful smile. First of all, it wasn't me who upset her. Second, I don't have any idea what you two were arguing about. I was running out of patience. Why should I tell you? Seems like she thought that our talk was over and was about to leave. I grabbed her hand abruptly. Alisa glanced at me in fear but didn't say anything. I was angry at that moment, really angry. First, I was wildly enraged that Lena was upset because of me, even though I was actually kind of guilty. Second, I was enraged by Alisa's insolence. Third, I was so tired that I was about to lose my temper at the smallest thing. Happy now? I hissed, pointing into the darkness where Lena had run off. You only seem to have the guts to bomb memorials and hurt innocent girls. She looked frightened, saddened, and confused at the same time. She herself could hurt anyone. You just don't know her. The only truth here is that I don't know her too well, but I'm absolutely positive that she wouldn't hurt anyone. That's your job. We stood in silence for some time. I held Alisa's hand and didn't know what to do next. The solution dawned upon me all by itself. You have to go and apologize. Why the hell should I? Alisa tried to act as arrogant as always, but it wasn't going to work this time. 'Cause I said so. I refused to hear any objections and dragged her to the side of the bonfire. Olga, I'm sorry. We have some urgent business to deal with, so we have to leave early. The guidance officer tried to object, but I didn't listen and headed after Lena, pulling Alisa along with me. After some time, I released her hand. Any objections? All the pride and arrogance had left Alisa's face long ago. If you want me to come with you, I will, but I have nothing to apologize for. I told her the truth. We'll see about that then. I cut her short. We'd been walking in silence until we entered the camp. We came to the square and I asked Alisa, where do we go next? How should I know? And who said that they know Lena well? Was it me? Alisa hesitated. Well, she could be at the island. She often goes there when she wants to be alone. Excellent. We headed to the pier. Night came down on the camp while I searched for paddles and pottered around with ropes. One boat was actually missing. Okay, today's your lucky day. You get to do several killer exercises that will build up your biceps, triceps, and other arm muscles, I said sarcastically. Are you serious? Alisa cast a fearful glance at me. Well, perhaps that was a little too rough, even for her. Alright, I won't make you row, of course. That hardly sounded confident. Swinging the paddles appeared to be much harder this time. Well, that's not surprising, considering that today I must have already filled my annual rowing quota. I stopped in the middle of the river to catch my breath. The camp was covered by night. A trivial and ordinary night. It's one of those nights when the dark sky, stars, and crescent moon don't make you feel anything special, and chirping crickets and twittering birds sound like they're doing a dull routine job rather than performing an otherwise exciting nocturne. I was staring into the darkness, trying to make out the shadowy island. How did you get to know her? Alisa shivered a little. We grew up together. She answered slowly after some hesitation, and ended up at the same pioneer camp? What a fabulous coincidence. All these questions, mysteries, and fears that had been so well hidden so far suddenly spawned in my head. Damn, I could just throw her out of the boat and drown her right here and now. I can demand answers, although it could be dangerous unless I'm sure that I know what I'm doing. But still, I thought that this time I was playing with the white pieces so I could make the first move and not just parry the blows of the opponent. So what kind of camp is this? Alisa stared at me blankly. Where are we? Why am I here? She kept silent. Answer me, I shouted. Hey, what's wrong with you? If you want me to apologize to Lena, I will. That's when I realized how stupid I was acting, to say the least. She could simply be uninvolved in all that stuff. And what's more, one can't lie that convincingly. Alisa's fearful expression was yet another reason to believe her. Sorry. I was all I was able to say at the moment. Yet I wanted to keep my advantage. The last few meters were really tough. Exhausted, I got out of the boat and lay on the cold ground. Alisa stood nearby, staring at me. I thought she was about to goad me or utter some barbed witticism, but since she remained silent, I assumed she was still shocked or something. Even though it was rather dark here, it would be easier to hide in my old flat than on this tiny island. Furthermore, Lena must have already heard us as we were crossing the river, so by now, it's already too late to ask Alisa any more questions, even though I still had some. Listen. I looked at her, but saw nothing. It was a dark night, and I didn't have cat's eyes. Well, when we find Lena, you're going to tell her you never wanted to hurt her feelings, and everything that happened in the morning was nothing but a misunderstanding, okay? My voice didn't sound as confident as it did a couple of minutes ago, but confident enough. Although Alisa said nothing, it was clear by the look on her face that she agreed. I stood up, and we went off to find Lena. Her boat was tied to a snag on the far side of the island. It's very clever of her. One wouldn't see the boat from afar, I mumbled. Well, that means she's somewhere in the trees. Let's find her. I headed into the grove, but Alisa stood still. What's up? Thought we discussed everything already. It's not that. It's just that it's dark in there. I had to strain my eyes to make out her face. The grove is smaller than my grandmother's daisy garden. What's there to be afraid of? Alisa didn't answer. If you want to know what I'm thinking, I'd gladly just leave you here. I never know what trick you're up to. Well, she came very close to me. Let's go like this. She took my hand. I hadn't expected this outcome. My cheeks turned red and hot, my breath was taken away, and I could barely say anything. Why? The whole situation didn't favor conversation, which was probably for the best, since I doubt I would have been able to say anything smart. Slowly, we headed into the grove. In a couple of minutes, I regained some control of myself. Come on, there's really nothing to be afraid of. We came here during the day, gathering some strawberries. No big deal. Just a normal birch grove. Really nice here during the day. I added after a short pause. Alisa didn't look at me. She was staring somewhere into the distance. Well, it's up to you, after all. A few moments later, she pointed somewhere in front of us. There she is. I peered into the darkness, but could barely see anything. When we came closer, we saw Lena sitting beside a tree. She was crying. Why have you come here? She asked tearfully. And you? She looked at Alisa, but didn't finish the sentence. That moment, Alisa released my hand. Well, you see, I just wanted to apologize for being somewhat harsh and rude. Alisa interrupted me. Her voice had regained the usual arrogance of hers. Maybe it's because she didn't want to look weak in front of Lena. What a perfect apology. Not walking the walk, are you? How clever of you to insist that I'm doing a bad thing and then do the same thing yourself. Lena switched to shouting uncontrollably. You got it all wrong. I get what I've seen. You see, girls, you're arguing again and I seem to be somehow involved in all that, but I don't understand a thing. Explain it to him. Lena said to Alisa with a grin, There's nothing to explain. Well, maybe you'll let me have a try then? Whatever. She crossed her arms over her chest and turned away. Well then, Semyon. She blamed me for pursuing you. For a minute there was complete silence. Lena didn't look like explaining any further, and as for me, I stood still trying to assemble the scattered pieces of the puzzle into a whole. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. It's not like that. It's not what I meant, interrupted Alisa. Of course. You've always been like this. Lena burst into tears again. Wait, how come... So Lena likes me? And you? What about you? You're trying to convince me that it's all wrong while you're holding his hand? What? So Alisa likes me too? Oh, come on. Alisa actually liking someone? This can't be happening. It's just, it was dark in there and that's so much like you. Always so arrogant, always trying to control others, but when it comes to yourself... Alisa didn't answer. I really felt like I had to say something to diffuse the situation. Hey, wait. Perhaps we just got it all wrong. It has nothing to do with you. Alisa's voice was oddly distant. Judging by the conversation, this has everything to do with me. Yes, it does. Ask her what she thinks of you and why she told me not to go after you. I don't think Lena was actually going after me. I'm telling you once again, we heard enough of your story already. Lena shot up and ran away into the darkness. I stood nailed to the spot, not sure what to do next. If I followed Lena now, what would I say when I found her? After all, I don't even understand what this is all about. Oh my god, you are so stupid, Simeon. My cluelessness and silly attempts to console her would only upset her more. Guess we'd better let her be alone for some time. That didn't sound very confident. Whatever. Without another word, Alisa headed back to the boat. And on that note, we're gonna leave this episode. Oh my god, Simeon is such a moron. Anyway, see you guys in the next episode.